Welcome to the 2022 primary election candidate videos, made possible by a partnership between Collin County Votes, which is an initiative of the Collin County Business Alliance, and the Allen, Frisco, McKinney, and Plano Chambers of Commerce. I'm Leanne Libby, General Manager at Community Impact Newspaper in Plano, and I'm excited to introduce our viewers to Representative Jeff Leach, running for House District 67. Welcome, Representative Leach.
Hey there, great to be with you. Thanks for having
Good to
me.
see you. Absolutely. Thanks for being here. Well, we'll jump right in with the first question. So tell us in your own words, what is the role of a state legislator?
Well, again, great to be with you today. And for all those viewing, it's great to be with you virtually as well. The role of a state legislator is very simple, although not easy, but it's simple and straightforward, and that's to serve the people. In my case, in the case of District 67, it's about 200,000 people here in Collin County, the place in which I was born and raised, and have now served in the Texas House for 10 years. To serve them, to answer to them, to be available to them, to listen, to understand the needs of our community, whether it's education, healthcare, tax reform, protecting our fundamental rights and freedoms, just being responsive to the needs and concerns of the people that we're elected to serve. And that includes all the work that we do here at home to serve our constituents, as well as our work in the Texas Capitol, voting on legislation, advocating for public policies that will make our community in this great state even stronger and freer than it already is.
Great, thank you. So share with us, what are your top 2 or 3 legislative priorities?
Well, over the past 10 years, I'm real proud of our record to strengthen public education, to lower taxes, specifically to lower the rate of skyrocketing property taxes, in my case, passing 2 constitutional amendments, one banning a state income tax and the other protecting our houses of worship from closure, innovating in healthcare, investing in critical infrastructure. We've done so much to make Texas, I think, the envy of the nation, but our work never stops. And so as we look forward, to answer your question, my priorities are focused on a number of fronts, continuing to make sure that what government is supposed to be doing is done and is done well, like education and infrastructure and healthcare, and making sure our justice system is fair and reliable and trustworthy. And also some of the concerns that I'm hearing loud and clear from our constituents as we knock on doors and talk to voters in the interim in advance of next session. Our constituents are very concerned about the continuing skyrocketing property taxes, about the porous border and our security situation that's created with our 1,200-mile border to the south. We've got to continue to address border security. And then as well, one of the things that I'm hearing loud and clear from my constituents is an ongoing and growing encroachment on the rights of parents to raise and to educate and to make decisions for their children, whether it's healthcare decisions, educational decisions, decisions relating to what they're exposed to and not. And so I want to make sure that as a parent myself, as a parent of 3 kids in our public schools, and as someone who takes my role as a dad and a policymaker very seriously, doing everything we can to protect those rights of moms and dads and families all across the state to do what they do best. That's just a few of the many priorities that we're working on.
Thank you. Well, so Collin County is one of the fastest growing in the country, as you know. What are your thoughts on the growth to date, and what would your priorities be going forward?
Well, there's no question Collin County is one of the fastest growing areas. We all see it and feel it every single day, whether it's in our schools, in the grocery stores, on our roads. We are growing, and we're growing rapidly. It's a really good problem to have, but make no mistake, it is a challenge, because we've got to make sure as policymakers that we're doing everything we can to ensure that the people who are already here, the Texans who are already here in Collin County, are protected, that the rights are protected, that we're doing everything we can to serve them and serve them well, while at the same time preparing for all of the substantial growth that's to come here in our county. Our demographic projections state that in the next 40 to 50 years, our county is going to triple in size from a little over 1 million to maybe close to 3 million people. And so you think about that on our roads and in our schools and in our communities. We welcome all those folks, but we got to plan and prepare now for them. So I believe there's no better place in the entire state, and really than the entire country, than right here in North Texas in Collin County to live. And that's not because of the politicians. That's because of the people, the business owners, the employers and employees, and teachers and doctors and all the folks who are here that make that great. And our job is to be responsive to them, to listen to them, and to advocate and deliver on their behalf.
Well, so you started to talk about the business community. So that's actually the next question is, what do you see as the top needs for the business community? And what would you do to best help meet those needs to ensure continued economic growth?
So we've got to continue to invest in our businesses to create a climate where small business owners and innovators and entrepreneurs can take risks, can risk capital, can do the things they want to do, they feel called to do, they feel inspired to do without unnecessary government regulation and intervention. People need to be free to create new businesses, to grow their existing businesses, and to get the jobs and be educated for the jobs that they want. We're hearing loud and clear from our employers across the state about a concern of the talent pipeline and the workforce of today, much less the workforce for tomorrow. That takes us investing in education, innovating in education, training up the next generation of Texas leaders. We've got to keep corporate taxes low, regulations predictable. I've been real proud of our work on tort reform to make sure that our courts are fair and open and predictable, that we're weeding out frivolous lawsuits that for many years have put businesses out of work. Look, government has a role, but that role is limited. And we need to do what we're called to do and commanded to do by the people very well. And then we need to get out of the way of our business owners, large and small. And for as long as I'm in office, that's what I'm going to continue to do.
Thank you. So tell me, what do you see as the biggest transportation issue facing the county, and how would you address it?
So transportation is one of the big issues we're going to be dealing with. Really, we deal with it every single session. As I look forward to next session, if you were to ask me what's one of the top three big challenges that we're facing, there's no question that infrastructure investment in critical infrastructure, not only our roads and bridges, but our electric grid and our water resources, all of the things that we need to do and do well. But transportation is at the top of the list. So maintaining existing roads, planning for the future, building a road or a highway, extending a road or a highway, whether it's a county road or a state road, whether it's a local road or a main thoroughfare highway. Those things take a lot of time to plan and prepare for. And those conversations start now, not even a year from now, certainly not 5 or 10 years from now. We got to start having those conversations now with our local leaders, with our business owners, with our communities, elected officials, to ensure that the roads that we're building and investing in are the roads that are best going to serve as major thoroughfares and arteries for our communities that need them most. We're not afraid of innovation as well, technology, and of having every option on the table and every tool in the toolbox when it comes to transportation. But Texas is a state, we pride ourselves in our roads, and we should. And so we're going to continue to do that. We just got to make sure that they're built in the right places and in the right ways and as quickly as possible.
Great. Well, so the business community and many of the organizations representing it have prioritized promoting equity and diversity through hiring practices, programs, and their community investments. Because Collin County is such a diverse area in every sense of the word, can you talk about what equity and diversity mean to you?
Well, sure. I'm all for equity and diversity and creating an environment. I would say not only creating an environment, but safeguarding and protecting an environment in Texas where every single Texan, no matter what they look like, what their background is, how much money they have, where they've gone to school, what they believe, that they have an equal opportunity. I want to make sure that we have a level playing field. Our job as policymakers is to create a framework where every single Texan, boy or girl, wherever they're from, like I said, has an opportunity to be the next president of the United States, or the next president of Capital One, or the next president of a university, or a mom or dad or teacher. I am not at all interested in the government choosing sides and picking teams and favoring one group of people over another unfairly, I believe unlawfully. We want level playing field, equal opportunity, and we need to get government out of the way. We need to protect where there is and guard against where there is unfair and unlawful discrimination. Certainly the government and our courts, our laws, our Constitution speak to that, and we take that role very seriously. But when it comes to equity and diversity, I encourage diversity. I encourage equity. I welcome it. I hate any form of discrimination or bias or prejudice or racism. But at the end of the day, our role as government officials, as policymakers, is to make sure that level playing field is available for any and all Texans who want to work hard, who want to get a job, who want to be educated, be trained, who want to be productive citizens, taxpayers, moms, dads. We're going to make sure that they've got a place and are welcomed and invited in the Texas economy.
Great. Well, so last question. If you were talking to someone from outside of Collin County who was thinking about moving here or possibly moving their business here, what would be your 30-second elevator pitch to them?
Look, as I said earlier, I don't think there's any better place, not only in Texas, but in the entire country than Collin County. The people, of course, here are wonderful. Our schools are strong. If I could duplicate what we have here in Collin County and replicate it all across the state and across the nation, many of our problems would be solved. We are free here. Yeah, we have our challenges. There's no question that we have our hurdles. We have our questions and challenges that we've got to address head on. But we're free here. We respect the rights of people to raise their families, to start their businesses, to educate their kids. If you want to come here and be free without an undue government that's on your backs, that's taxing you out of your homes, that cares little about your freedoms, this is the place to be. That's why we're seeing people. Just this morning, I met with a guy who moved here from Illinois, picked up his family, picked up his business, was tired of the government in Illinois who was on his back, taxing him, regulating him. He was just tired of it, and he came here, and he's so thankful that he did. And there's thousands and thousands of people from states just like that, and we welcome all the more anytime they want to come.
Great. Well, Representative Leach, thank you so much for joining us today and allowing the voters the opportunity to hear directly from you on these important issues.
I'm happy to do so. Call me anytime. People can go to my website. My cell phone is there if they ever want to meet with me one-on-one. Thank you for the opportunity.